today with Anita, who's both a confident communicator alumna as well as a presence under pressure alumna. So she's taken both of our signature courses, and I'm grateful that you're here to talk a little bit about your experience today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, Brenne.
Yeah, so let's jump right on in. I'd love for you to take me back in time to before you even enrolled in the confident communicator. What was going on personally, professionally, with your communication skills, with your confidence, that you were even interested in learning or studying this topic?
Yeah, so I think I've been interested in studying more about communications for quite a while. It's something that when I speak with my managers and my mentors about, they always emphasize what an important set of skills it is. And even for me, just noticing in my professional world that the people that you really look up to have a really strong set of communication skills. So this was something I felt that I definitely want to invest in. And I wanted to invest in it because I did want to build a communication style that inspires trust, collaboration, understanding the kinds of things that you can really achieve with great communication.
Yeah. Great. So when you were thinking about signing up for the Confident Communicator and you saw what the course was about, what were you hoping more than anything that you would learn or get some tips and tools around? Was there anything specific you were going for?
Yeah, I think there are a few things that I was interested in. The first one is that I don't always feel very comfortable in the spotlight. So I knew that I wanted to learn how to work with that discomfort. I remember reading your blogs before signing up for the classes and absorbing some content. And I felt that it had a very new and different angle on how to approach something like this. And also that it gave it the depth that I was looking to cover. The second thing that really attracted me to these classes, and I feel like I've definitely gotten out of them as well, is this focus on not necessarily improving my communication style, but powering it up. And you always emphasize this idea that we all have an authentic communication style and that we should lead with it. And I feel like the content that we absorb in the classes is very much about brushing away things that can stand in the way or muddy up that communication style. So even some more traditional things like pacing, maybe how to use body language. These were things we covered, but there was also some non-traditional things like how to speak with intentionality, or there was content, for example, around how to manage chatter in your head that I felt like I haven't gotten in other communications classes, but it really does go a long way in allowing, as you start to tackle each of these skills, it allows you to get to a place where your whatever authentic communication style is, whatever your preferred way to communicate is, can be really powerful and shine through in a compelling way. So that's the other piece that I think I had hoped and I felt like I really got out of the class.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. A lot of people who consider signing up for either the Confident Communicator or Presence Under Pressure have this concern that the level that they're at or the level that they want to get to isn't quite in line with maybe the level of the course or the level they're trying to go. So for example, they're concerned that they might be too advanced for the course because they already are pretty confident speaking and they don't get too nervous, but they really want to work on practical messaging or getting out of their head, right? Or maybe you have someone who's earlier on in their career and they're concerned that it's going to be, just all senior leaders and they're going to feel like totally out of their depth inside something like the Confident Communicator, which is really for all levels. So can you speak a little bit to that? Did you have a concern about whether the course was going to be, whether the Confident Communicator first was going to be too rudimentary, whether it was going to push you to the level that you were going? Any skepticism around that? And then how did it pan out?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I don't think that I had skepticism going in, but one thing that I have observed is that I do feel that both classes actually do a really good job of covering the full gamut of communication skills. And there's a really good way that we actually build on the skills. So everything that we learn, for example, in class 1, I always felt, even the second time taking around the second class, that it's so foundational to anything you do later that even getting a refresher has always felt for me really helpful. Even when I go review content, I still go back to the start. The other thing that I would say that I found really, really helpful with the classes is, and I think it kind of relates to your question, but it's this idea that it's one thing to absorb, to learn and absorb content, and there's ways to do that. Then there's ways to practice it, but being able to in each day, weekly session, be able to first pick up some new skills or refresh some skills, then practice them, then get real-time input, both from you as well as classmates. That kind of activity, I don't think there's any place else to practice it, at least for me. And getting that kind of in-depth input and feedback from folks in a really focused way, the more I've thought about it, the more I think there's no way I would ever get that kind of feedback out in the wild in such a focused way, connected to specific skills I'm building from people who are also working on them or understand them. And so I think that together makes the classes incredibly invaluable, for it becoming something you can ingest and really build into something tangible that has results for you.
Yeah. I remember when we first met, when you were thinking about signing up for either program. And of course, you started with the Confident Communicator, which is what we recommend, and then build up to the Presence Under Pressure course, which there's definitely overlap in terms of the curriculum. I would say Presence Under Pressure is a little bit more intensive, right? Because we're meeting weekly and consistently, whereas Confident Communicator, those coaching calls are a little bit more spread apart, and you're asked to absorb some of the content a little bit more on your own. But I remember one of your concerns was, am I going to get enough of that individualized coaching, like for the things specifically that I need to work on? Do you feel like even in a group environment that you were able to get that?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a testament to how you build the classes and how they're structured. But I do love that, because I think that I do notice within the groups, people are working on different things. But in part because, again, things are so linked, that first of all, there isn't necessarily a right time to work on your skills. You don't have to work on your skills in the class that's related to your skills. We are always putting them into full effect. And I loved the fact that regardless of an exercise, everyone gets to practice it. And then when we get input from you, it's always tailored, because everyone is working on different things, or they've stated they have different objectives. And it goes a long way, because the other thing that maybe I was skeptical about, but I can say is not the case, is this question I had when I took the second class: am I going to get the same input or feedback, or is it going to be a bit of like doing the class again, and round two is not going to be as insightful for me personally? And that didn't feel like that was the case at all. I think there's so much depth in what we cover in the classes with you, that we've never, for example, gone over the same tips again, or tried to kind of answer a problem with kind of this templated solution. It's always very, very tailored to the individual, the situation, the question at hand. What are we actually discussing, or where are you in your career, and what are we really dealing with? And so that's been incredibly valuable.
Cool. So what would you say, more than anything, you've gotten out of taking these courses?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think, well, one thing that I feel really good about is the fact that I have a very specific set of tools that I can use. These are things that I actually use on a daily basis. I can go into a meeting, and the more I review, by the way, the content that we do, the easier it becomes for me. But I know, okay, in this situation, it may be helpful for me to, for example, structure this message this way, or I know I'm going to get some questions. Here's how I can be prepared to answer or get more information. So I use this set of tools on a daily basis, and I feel really good about having it. To me, this is incredibly valuable. But the other thing is that I think that this course has changed the way I think about communication, my relationship with the topic. It used to be something that I felt like I said earlier, I know it's an important set of skills and I wanted to invest in it, but it felt like not such a fun thing to look into, or not such a fun thing to think about working on. And now I feel very differently about it. And I I like to, for example, observe what I'm doing in a setting from a communication perspective, or think later about how to break it down. It's my own relationship with it has changed as a result in a way that makes it more enjoyable to work on.
So great. Thank you so much for sharing all that. And it's just such a pleasure having you in this community.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine.